Hey, my name is William Kwaku Amo. I'm an artist, um, and I paint emotions, experiences from my African heritage, and my curiosity of humankind. I've been painting, let's say, it kicked back um, during COVID. I think COVID was the awakening, which then made me feel like, this is something. I always used to do it when I was younger, um, but I didn't pursue it on to art school. But when the world paused and everybody was trying to figure out what to do with themselves during COVID times, I started sketching again, and I started messing about, and I kind of realized that that's really, like, it was soothing something that I wasn't aware, and I think it sort of made me understand that there was therapy, and it helped me through a lot of depression and stuff like that, So yeah, during the COVID, it really it was something. It was a huge awakening in my life, and so I decided to take it serious. I'm more of an abstract expressionist. So what I like to do is have a dance with the canvas or whatever medium I decide to paint on. A lot of it is from impulse. And so I just throw ideas on the canvas, and we have this communication back and forth. And whatever the canvas tells me, let's say if it says, I like a bit of red here and a bit of green here, I obey, and we go back and forth. And sometimes the hardest thing is learning when to stop, because it's very expressive, and I like to express. So sometimes I have to be very, very restrained and sit back and be like, okay, I'm gonna let it breathe. Maybe give it a week or two, and then come back and be like, okay, this is it, it's done. I try and be as vulnerable as I can, because it tells a story, and it allows people to experience the journey that I've gone through and so forth.
One, two, three,
There's some sort of there's a feeling, I mean, I'm African, from Ghana, and as a child, you enjoy your home cooking when mom cooks or when dad cooks and so forth. And it's only when you get older you sort of realize that it takes talent to really cook our cultural dishes, and then you start to question, how does mom know, how does grandma know that the soup is done, you know what I mean? And I think from practice and from errors, they sort of grow to have this sort of balance and understand that, okay, that soup is ready. And even when they're watching you cook, they can sense that it's ready, or it's close to burn, without even watching the pot, you know what I mean? And these are the things you sort of pick up as you grow up. And I've sort of learn to build that experience when I'm painting, and sometimes you just have to restrict it and just maybe do something else, go for a walk, listen to some music, speak to different people or whatever, if you go to work, whatever, and come back and just sit with it. Sometimes I just sit with it and just have conversations with the artwork, and yeah, I mean, life is texture, so I try to convey that as much as I can, and I've had a lot of endeavors. Some have been successful, some have not been successful. So I try to convey that within my pieces. I try to create that texture so people can feel it. Sometimes I feel like pictures don't do my artwork justice until people see it in person. Then they sort of really understand that, like, no, this is this is like, the story he's trying to tell. And I like playing with texture and going back with our like with with food. There's a lot of layers within our food. Like you add the onions, garlic, this, that. There's a lot of layers to add and build that nice thick pot. So I like to bring that within my work. And it just makes me feel better when I see work with texture. Most of the time, it starts off with impulse. I mean, I start all my artwork from a state of play, because as I said, when I started during COVID, I started sketching again, and it just sort of reminded me that like this was a God-given talent, and I kind of locked it away. And so when it came back into my life again, it brought so much emotions, and it just sort of reminded me that like this doing this created a happy space for you, a happy place for you. So I always like to remind myself when I'm painting again, I like to start from that happy space, that childhood place where I used to have fun. So I always start to doodle, and sort of mess about, either with pens or with markers and so forth. And then I start to add the layers to it. Um, you know, Most of the time the messages that the artwork will speak to me and tell me. Then we start to go to work, and when we start to find meaning within. Um, uh, I mean, with most of my paintings, you have a lot of motifs. As you can see within, you have the spirals, you have the eyes, because I believe in like human connection. I mean, we're in that social media era where everything is online, and trying to create a relationship, like virtually. Some is good, and it helps. But I think to really get to know somebody, you need to look them in the eye and have that conversation with them. So hence why you see the spirals within my work, because I think you need to look into people's eyes and understand who they're about. So most of the time I got that motif going in my work. When you look at my work as well, you always see these numbers, double digit numbers, from conversations with other people that I've spoken about. They've told me that some people have said they're angel numbers. So I kind of run with that, because it feels like a good thing, It feels like a message from the universe. I don't know, and I'm kind of working with that. There's sometimes I'll be in a room with people I don't know, and someone might say, "Oh, look, it's 12:12, or 13:31." You know what I mean? And they don't know what that means to me. So I've just taken it on board, and I incorporate it in my work. So if I see it within a day and I'm painting, I'll just put it in, So that's a signature of mine. And a lot of people ask me about a 218. Sometimes the way I write it, it looks like 48, but it's actually 218. And the 218, in a sense, it's a code, which if you reverse it, is the 8th of the 12th, which is my birthday. So that's another signature, and I've been using it for a while. And interestingly, when my dad passed away the start of this year, he passed away on the 28th of the 1st. So that made it even more profound for me to keep it within my work. You know what I mean? As a reminder of life's journey, and life's ups and downs. So yeah, like there's a few little nuggets in my work that sort of tells my story, tells my journey, and it creates good conversation, really. So like music has been part of my life from childhood. So I always have music playing, either on my headphones or when I get home, just right on a laptop when I'm cooking or whatever, or doing whatever I'm doing. There's always music playing. So art and music has always been my thing. And again, like when I didn't pursue it, for uni or whatever. But then I'd always sort of listen to music. So I'm always um, when I'm painting, I'm always listening to music, whether it's hip hop, R&B, jazz, neo soul, all the genres really. It could be. It all depends on the mood I'm feeling. I always like to listen to, music from back home. The rhythms always influence me. I'm a drummer as well, so like I love to hear beats. You know what I mean? So I'm always interested in new beats and new one thing I'm always interested in like in different cultures and how they structure the music rhythms and stuff like that. So yeah, music is always a part of my work. Like you know, this collection, Static Emotion. I was listening to a lot of Voodoo by D'Angelo, and that really played a strong part, because that album is just out of this world, and sometimes I even have the documentary, listening to how they came about, the album and all those things there. So like, it just takes me to a different realm. And when I was young, like back home, you sort of learn to play music from a call and response thing. Like it's not written down. It's not like it's very oral, and you just watch the elders play and you just join in. It's more like a call and response. They will call out with a rhythm, and then you just respond basically. And that has its roots in jazz, blues, and all that sort of thing. So, when I say I throw ideas to the canvas, and it tells me what more to add, that is that same rhythm back and forth, that call and response. You know what I mean? So, music plays a real integral part in my art making and in my daily movements, really. Like myself, there's always doubt. You know what I mean? As to, am I good enough? Are people gonna like my stuff? Um, would I ever make it? I mean, even at this stage, that's something that's always, rotating in my mind all the time, because we're human, we're very self-conscious. I always say, um, as an artist, like, really, it's like you're standing on the stage naked, and people are looking at you, picking what they like and what they don't like. And that's what it is when you put your artwork out. It's like, it's the only profession where it's like you need other people's sort of validation to sort of feel like you're going somewhere, my only advice is just to keep making the art. The more and more you make your art, just like any other craft, like, like football, like sports, the more and more you do the thing you enjoy doing, the better you become, So keep making art, keep making art. Show up at events, ask questions, even if you have to um, you know, build the confidence in going by yourself, asking, even if it's one question you ask at that event that you go to, you never know how it help you. So always try and network, and show up. You know what I mean? The first time you show up, no one might know you. The second time you show up, someone might recognize that you came last time, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you was here, blah, 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 and then that will be your gate in, and you never know, the person you might meet there might help you to do something else. So it's all about networking. But the most important thing is to create. Always create, always create. Even if it's a sketch a day, even if you're like, your thing is drawing portraits, and okay, I need to work on lips. You just keep drawing lips, then you move to nose, and you know what I mean? And as time goes on, when you're drawing the whole face, it becomes easier because you practice so many times at doing something, you know what I mean? So yeah, just keep working. The advice that I've always been given is to keep making, and that's how you evolve, your style develops and so forth. So yeah, all I can say is keep making the work, and show up, you know what I mean? I think, yeah, this exhibition with Cooper, I think is my biggest so far. Uh, it's my second solo. I've had a few group exhibitions, but yeah, I mean, in terms of my journey, this is the biggest so far, and it's like I'm still kind of like I'm still processing it. You know what I mean? Because again, back to what I was saying in terms of making connections and so forth. I mean, I make coffees in my daytime, right? So that's what I do in my 9 to 5, what you as you want to call it. And you know, I if I didn't understand that making connections was key, I just would have stood behind a coffee machine, made coffees, and not not interacted with people. You know what I mean? But I think the reason as to how I was able to get this gig was being open and speaking to the customers and find out what they do, who does this, and what do you do, and so on and so forth. And that's how I got to know the Bradys, and from knowing them, from speaking to them, she purchased one of my artwork. So when I put forth the idea, it was pretty seamless because we had created that bond. You know what I mean? I pitched the idea. There's like, yep, we've got an event happening that we can see your art being part of. And so I was like, yeah, let's go for that. And yeah, it was a challenge because I've done a few large pieces, but not to this extent. You know what I mean? So I really had to go to work and a lot of trial and error. I gave myself enough time to prepare. I also try to, like challenge myself to a level where like I've never challenged myself to, like to set this goal and be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And yeah, I just went to work. And then we'll go back and forth and say, okay, this is the direction I'm going. How do you feel about that? And also one thing I appreciate about Cooper is that like they're a very funky brand, and they're all about vibrancy and trying to like push boundaries basically. So they just gave me that open leeway to do and be free, you know what I mean? So like that allowed me to be very, very bold and do the things that I enjoy doing. So like as you can see with the colors and so forth, it kind of represents what Cooper is about. Yeah, so I really, really pushed the envelope, and I'm happy with how it turned out. My name is William Kwaku Amo. On Instagram, Amo X Arts, and my website is williamkwakuamo.com. And those are the two platforms that you can find my work. You can follow my process and hit me up. I'm always up to talk and help people and just discuss whatever goals they want to achieve. And so yeah, because I understand coming from the ground up and so forth. So I'm always willing to help and support and be like an advocate to people who are trying to get to that level. You know what I mean? So